All right, hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Struggle. This is going to be part 2 on the Glide Kip. This is the final piece. We're going to be going over all 4 parts of the Glide Kip and what happens when you make a mistake on any of those 4 pieces. Let me tell you right now, it doesn't go so well. You might be able to make your kip, but this might be why you can't make it consistently, or why you might not be able to cast, or why you can't cast a handstand out of your kips yet. All right, let's get right into it with part number 1, the glide swing. Glide the swing. Okay, let's jump right into the first video. She jumps to the bar. Look at that chest position, okay? Look at that chest position. She's going here, right? Her chest is protruding. It's pushing forward. You have to be mindful of that. You have to be making sure that your chest is round. Now, she did do a good job of making sure her hips rose when she jumped. Her hips are nice and high. So she has the potential to glide out farther, okay? She has the potential. Notice I said that word potential. Doesn't mean she will, because here she starts staring at the bar and she forgets about pushing her feet out farther and her armpits out farther. So she's thinking about the bar here. She's not thinking about gliding out. She should still continue to try to push her body out this way. Okay? If she's able to do that, to push her body out farther, her life's going to be easier. She doesn't have to be as strong to finish the kip, right? So that's going to be a mistake that you're going to see commonly, all right? So she might not have enough power to do this. Her chest is out, which is signifying that her leg lift will most likely be late. And then her glide swing didn't go very far, so I'm guessing she's not going to have a lot of power. Now, she does prove me wrong here because she switches to a round shape and her hips are still in front of the bar. So she proved me wrong. She was able to use her muscles and get her legs up to the bar early enough. So this was good. This was a good part. But it would, if she was already round in the beginning, 1, it wouldn't take as much strength, and 2, her hips would be farther in front of the bar, making her life easier. That being said, she did do a good job correcting that. Okay. Now, as you can see there, her glide swing lacked power. So now she's out of strength. All right, there's nowhere to go, right? Instead of flying up on top of the bar, she's now out of power. And then notice the line of her body. The line of her body is almost flat rather than that L shape we talked about in part 1. So kicking your legs off is something we're going to look at later. But right now, the glide swing made it so that she was forced to muscle this kip. You can see she finished in a muscle up position. So if she fixes her glide swing, her chest being in, her ability to glide out farther, then she's going to be able to get on top of the bar in a much easier fashion. So I can see that there's some work ahead of her in order for her to get her kip cast and then eventually her kip cast to handstand. It's going to be a little bit of a mission, but if she's able to fix those pieces, it's going to be looking pretty good from there. All right, to emphasize my point, you can see this coach here working with this young lady. He's focusing on forcing her to glide swing with her chest already inside, okay? And this is to accomplish this piece. They're trying to accomplish this, where the glide swing finishes really far away from the bar. Armpits are extended, hips are far away, right? And especially her leg lift finishes with her hips way in front of the bar. That's what they're trying to accomplish because the coach understands that that's going to be the easiest way for her to finish the kip. All right, now we're getting into part 2, the leg lift. Now, remember, if you're struggling with the glide swing portion and you're not strong enough to keep that chest inside, then what you should really be focusing on is just getting your chest hollow and holding an L. Just holding a nice low L with your chest hollow. It doesn't need to be that high. It doesn't need to be a perfect L shape, like a perfect 90 degrees. If it is a perfect 90 degrees, that's awesome. But again, it can be a low L as long as you're focusing on pulling those ribs in. When you pull your ribs in, you're going to be using your upper abdominals and your serratus muscles. And at first, your serratus won't be developed. So pulling your chest back is going to be really, really difficult. So just give it time. Keep doing it every single day. It's going to pull back eventually. And then you're going to be able to hold that chest in. Okay? And you're going to see a similar problem, a similar strength issue with this young lady here as she does her glide swing. All right? So she's gliding out here. You can see her chest is pushing forward a little bit, and her legs come up. Legs come up super late, right? The legs come up super late, and now she's flying. Yeah, she's flying out this way, like I mentioned in part 1. You're going to fly out. All right? So she flies out, and the only option would be to do a muscle up or for you to push against the bar like what she did, okay? So that's going to be the issue, is you need to make sure that you're strong enough to keep your chest back and to lift your legs early. If you're not strong enough to do those two pieces, what's going to happen is every time you're just going to swing out and you're not going to understand why you can't do your kip. And then when you first make your kip, it's going to be a giant muscle up, which isn't going to help you do a cast, which isn't going to help you do cast a handstand. And you're going to get stuck at one of the lower levels, okay? Keep that in mind. If you feel like you're stuck, it's probably because of issues that you had years ago that still haven't been dealt with. So many of the students watching this, you need to go back to the beginning and fix those pieces first. All right, step number 3. We're talking about the lat pull down. This is going to be the finishing element of the kip. This young lady does an okay job on some of the other steps, but then struggles with that third piece. And this is really, I think this is the most common issue with the kip, is like, this is when you start feeling like you're really close. Like, oh my God, I'm so close. I could do it. Today's the day. And this is probably the issue that you're having, and it's really hard to break this habit. So first off, we have her glide swing. You see, now this glide swing didn't look as pretty as some of the other ones, but I would say that I would argue that this glide swing is better, okay? And the reason I would say it's better is because she's extending her shoulders away, her hips are away, right? Again, it doesn't look as pretty, but she's getting power from it, okay? She's going to get some strength from this glide swing. Here, you can see she lifted her legs to the bar, her hips were in front, and now look what's happening already, okay? She's starting the lat pull down. Yes, so she's starting to push down on the bar. You want to push down towards your legs, remember? The issue is that you can already see her body starting to flatten out. Boom. See? She's flat. What position should she be in? She should be in an L with her legs still touching the bar. Remember, you want your thighs touching the bar as long as possible, hopefully the whole time. If you're just, a total genius, it should be the whole time, right? So here you can see she just flung her legs off of the bar. Now I'm going to show it to you one more time. This time I won't pause. And boom, she kicks her legs off. You saw she flung those legs off of the bar. All right. And the reason that that's happening is because, one, it feels like it helps. Like you're throwing your legs off of the bar and it just feels like you're pushing on something with your legs, but it's not. You're not pushing on anything. Holding your legs up takes more strength. It takes more core strength and it feels uncomfortable. But if you hold your legs up and you push that bar towards your legs, you're going to end up with a powerful kip where you're not wasting energy. But when you see that leg kick off, you just end up pushing yourself the wrong direction. All right. Again, boom, kick off. Did you see it? Did it look helpful? Not really, right? Now, when she makes her kip, she's going to end up making it with bent arms and a straight body, so she can't cast. If she gets really good at this technique, she might make her kip with straight arms, but still won't be able to cast because she's not folded, right? If she becomes an expert at this technique, I have a student who's an absolute pro at this technique. She can actually cast the horizontal just with that flat body position. I don't know, she planches her way up. But in order for her to be able to do a cast a handstand, she's going to need so much more shoulder strength than the average kid. So even being able to cast the horizontal is just like legendary without folding, right? So being able to cast a handstand, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible unless you're just so strong. All right, let's get into part number 4, step 4. This is going to be the shift. If you remember, the shift is something that comes up less commonly. I would say like out of 20 kids that you have, maybe 2 or 3 of them will have problems with the shift. All right, if you have a group of 20 students. So it's a less common issue, but it's really frustrating for the kids out there that are struggling with this grip shift. I know it's super frustrating, and it's usually the kids that are pretty strong, usually the ones that like have some good grip strength, because they're death gripping the bar and their hand can't rotate on top freely. Okay, so let's watch this young lady who's having problems with the shift. You see, she has nice technique. Her chest is staying somewhat in. Her glide swing is not terrible. She's staring at the bar, so she's losing some power here, but hey, what can we do? She's probably like, 8 years old in this video. Her hips are way in front of the bar. Someone taught it real well, right? Somebody's just, look at this position. Look at that just rounded shape here and how far her hips are in front. Somebody really did a good job with this young lady. So she is in the prime position to do an awesome kip. Here, she's staying somewhat in an L. Man. She's staying somewhat in an L. Man, at that age, that is just crushing. That's awesome, right? You can see, wow, she was in almost L shape the whole time. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I got a little distracted. Here, and boom, she's stuck. Okay, did you see her wrist was behind the bar? Let's go back a little bit. Do you see her wrist here? Her wrist is behind the bar. Okay, so again, this is happening because her hand is on top of the bar, right? When you start, your fingers are on top, but your wrist is not on top. So you have to relax your grip enough to allow your hand to slide over the top, right? So your hand, your grip needs to be just enough to hold on to the bar, but to allow you to just, boom, rotate your wrist on top, no problem, right? The other issue that she's having with the shift is look at her shoulders. Her shoulders aren't trying to move this way, all right? So what I would say is that make sure you roll your wrist on top first and then start aggressively trying to push your shoulders forward. Because if you just try to throw your shoulders forward, your wrist is going to be behind the bar and your shoulders are going to be in front of the bar. That's going to hurt your wrist, okay? And that can cause some unwanted injuries, okay? So those two issues do need to be met. If you can get those pieces together, then you're going to be in a great spot. All right, well, hopefully that helped some of you out there that are having trouble with your kips. Again, if you're having trouble, it usually comes into one of those 4 places, usually the glide swing, the leg lift, the lat pull down, or the shift. And when you're having trouble with one of those pieces, just come back to this video, look at whether or not it looks similar to what you're making the mistake in. And then the way to fix it is usually to get stronger or to undo a habit, okay? Undoing a habit is actually the harder one. Getting stronger, while it takes time, is pretty straightforward. It's just hold those L's, hold those leg lifts, put your body through a lot of like, I don't want to say pain, but yes, it's going to be painful, all right? I don't want to say pain, but it's going to be painful. You got to put your body through stress. That's the word. You want to put your body through lots of stress and eat well and sleep well, and you're going to be able to do it. It's a very technical skill, and that's why you see the most problems with students trying to learn it. Usually the hardest skills tend to be the most technical ones, all right? So that being said, hopefully you get something from this. You train, make those bodies really strong, and we get those kip cast to handstands in no time. This is Coach Lorenzo signing off. Thank you for joining, and I will see you guys next time. Later.